Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's excellent to have you here as always, and thank you for watching. I'm talking really fast today because we've got a lot of ground covered in today's video because we're going to be talking about some suppressors from the Stealth Project. Yes, I said suppressors, as in two suppressors, a 2-for-1 in today's video, because if I had only selected one of the devices, it would have been an absolute disservice to the innovation that's going on over at the Stealth Project. So, if you're ready or not, here it comes. We're going to be taking a look outside that box at what Stealth Project's got going on these days. We have both direct thread and QD models in here today, and you're like, Kurt, QD's far superior. Why on earth would I could do all the on and offy tactical groupy 007 stuff if I've got the QD. Why on earth would I want the direct thread? It'll become very apparent why the direct thread was included in today's video. While they offer a multitude of models in various calibers, both of these are 30 caliber cans. The direct thread sample we have here is a member of the Bolt series, and this can is designed for max suppression and is aluminum in construction to shave a lot of weight. You know, you humping that thing up the side of a mountain and shoot a goat or something like that, it'd be really nice if it was as light as possible. Representing their QD variants, we have a member of the Fusion series, which is a hybrid can with steel guts and a titanium tube. This one's also in their battle-worn finish, so you don't even have to bounce it off the ground a whole bunch of times to make it look cool. This is designed to maximize suppression efficiency, eliminate the possibility of a catastrophic baffle strike, and generate an overall low-pressure device that won't gash you in the face. As I mentioned, we're focusing on 30 caliber cans today because generally speaking, 30 caliber cans are the most popular. It's pretty much a toss-up these days between 22 and 30 cal. A lot of people want to get their feet wet with a 22 can because they're relatively inexpensive, but 30 caliber cans are the rage because they're pretty versatile. Now, to make those cans more versatile, a lot of times a manufacturer will offer a whole plethora of overpriced accessories for the device so that you can feel as though you got the most bang for your buck. And the one that bothers me the most is the end cap aperture size. So basically they're like, hey, you bought a 30 caliber can, but you want to shoot on your 5.56 gun. So we're going to change the aperture size. We're going to keep the core the same, but we're going to change the aperture size at the end of the can. Most people who are in the know will say that that's too little, too late. What Stealth Project has done is address the other end of the equation. These caliber restrictors. So you can purchase whichever ones you want for the purposes of restricting your flow. Obviously 30 caliber for 30, 5.56 for 5.56, and 6.5 aperture for any of those weird calibers that fit between the two. Now that's only for the direct thread models because they've got something else for the QD models. If you take a look at this break, you can see that it's tapered at the end. And as you guys can see, it's gonna rain. So we're gonna try to get this done as quickly as possible. You can hear the wind starting to kick up here a little bit. But this is the rifle speed gas control. And if you guys missed the product overview of this, I'll have it linked in the description box down below. This is something that you need in your life. Now, in the original video on that product, I said that I wanted to continuously use this thing to monitor how different offerings from different manufacturers gas up guns. So right now, today, with the environmental conditions and everything, this thing wants to run about 6. So we're just gonna get a baseline unsuppressed. And what's interesting about this is we don't get to just do single can on, single can off. We get to do 2 different cans today, and then also caliber restrictors. So we're running 5.56. We're going to be doing both 30 cal and the 5.56 restrictor to see how that differs. And I can already tell you that between the 2 cans alone that I can tell a difference. So these are going to be our entries for the 2 Stealth products that we have today. So baseline, here we go. And it makes a liar out of me. This is a magazine that I filled with sand. Okay, so we're getting perfect ejection right there at 7. And thought that I had a full magazine for this test, so now I got to load another magazine. It actually, it looks like it's the same ejection pattern. We're going to turn it down ever so slightly and see what happens. Looks like this, it's looking like it's fairly forgiving. I've got my direct thread adapter on there now for this thing, and we're going to be running the 308 aperture. And now we're going to have the 308 aperture. So we're leaving it at 4, in case I didn't say that earlier. Yeah, and we had, so actually, that's an under gas problem. So that's interesting. So we need to go back up, which would make sense. Okay, perfect ejection. We're good. Okay, let's take it down to 4. Ah, it made a liar out of me. Would you look at that? The QD variant will run a little bit lower on the spectrum, and I would say that that's probably because the QD variant evacuates that blast chamber a little bit because you've got the QD device up in there. This one, on the other hand, even with that caliber restrictor, doesn't really do that much as far as changing the profile of the gas system. But what it will do, most certainly, is change the amount of flow through of the can around the bullet. So I really like that feature, but as far as changing how your gun gases, not that much. That system's just freaking cool, man. It turns everything visual, makes my life a whole lot easier. I'm glad that we have it for the schedule of events for suppressor testing. But I've got an additional demonstration for you guys today to really drive home how much different this thing is than everything that is out there. So to do that, we're going to do a direct comparison. I really hate direct comparison. People take them as apples to apples, and they're never apples to apples. Every can is different. It does different things differently. Everything has its strengths and weaknesses. This is literally going to be an apple to a pear. Okay, so keep that in mind. And to do that, we're going to be using more of a traditional build can, even though it's not. I'm going to get so nested with all the nuances in this thing, and we're not going to get anywhere. I've been working in the background on an eval for the new CMMG guns, and I have one of their Shorty 300 blackouts. And I'll just show it to you. You can see that it's operating normally. Now the fusion. Now the bolt. As you guys can see, she won't run. Literally, I have an empty buffer in that gun. There's no additional gas profile from this can whatsoever. And that is, I have to say, pretty impressive. It is a crazy bright night today, boys and girls. That is the moon that you see up there. Yes, that is the moon. So what we're doing tonight is we're going to be testing the Stealth Projects suppressors. Now, there's a couple of different ways that we can go about this, but the way I thought about it is there's just too much to do when it comes to configuring the cans. So what I've done is I've set this one up for 30 cal, and we're going to shoot it on full power 300 blackout. Okay, and then we've set that one up for 5.56 on a 5.56 gun. So we're just going to do those two, suppressed versus unsuppressed, at the muzzle and at the ejection port. And since the 300 blackout is off, we're going to go ahead and start with it. All right, this is going to be at the muzzle, 300 blackout. All right, and now at the ejection port, It does not seem to be cycling, so we're probably not going to see much of anything on this, but who knows. Okay, suddenly it started working again. Threw a blackout at the muzzle. At the ejection port. Okay, 5.56 at the muzzle. At the ejection port. Overshadowed by the muzzle, of course. This is going to be 5.56 at the muzzle. 5.56 at the ejection port. I dropped a black suppressor on the ground, damn it. There's so much other stuff. How am I supposed to find it? Frickin'. Oh, there it is. Got it. Still warm. I almost had to get out the thermal. So now that we've concluded night vision testing, we're going to move on to critiques and final thoughts. And I only have one critique for this device and its sister, and that is that, and I think you guys saw it, lets through a little bit of flash at night. If you asked me 6 months ago, I would have said this is normal. All cans do this. It's unavoidable. It's physics. But we've since seen some devices that don't do it at all, so that's a lie, or at least a lie of the time. If I were to rank this device, I would say that it's probably in the top 50% of flashiness. So to put that in perspective, what that means is that if you had a can from like 2010, particularly devices that people get really defensive about because they bought a name brand that was really popular with the military or law enforcement at the time, and they're really attached to it because that's what those guys use, then it would be comparable in flash performance to one of those devices. But what it's not comparable to, as far as what those devices are not comparable to, are the performance metrics that we talked about previously, like the gun not being super gassy, load on your components not being as high, things like that. So if they wanted to mitigate this going forward, they don't even have to change the rest of the can. What I would say is that they need to come out with an accessory, which I know that I talked negatively about accessories earlier, but they should offer the capacity for a flash suppressing end cap. This technology is really not that hard to figure out. It's literally a flash suppressor on the end of the end cap. The people at Stealth are pretty smart. They figured the rest of this thing out. I'm thinking that they can do a little what's-a-bobble here on the end to dial that down, and I would love to see what happens when they do that little small change. Really easy to do as far as the grand scheme of things is concerned. But other than that, that's really the only thing that I would point to for continuous development for them, because I tell you what, the can sounds great. It generally performs a cut above the rest, and I have to say that Stealth Project is kind of impressing me right now. I'm looking forward to working with them in the future. So if you're looking for a device that performs well in the areas that we discussed, then Stealth Project should definitely be a name that's on your lips. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope that you learned something today. I had a good time making today's video, and special thanks to all the people who make videos like this possible, particularly our subscribers on Patreon and Subscribestar, whose names you should see on screen right now.